how's it going, friends? Thank you for tuning in to VR Revelations. Welcome. Please make sure you give this video a like and make sure you subscribe. So, it is March 14th, the year of our Lord, 2023. And it looks like a U.S. Drone was apparently taken down, not shot down, taken down near the Black Sea, apparently by Russian fighter jets. I believe it is the Su-27 Russian fighter jet that the U.S. is claiming took it down. Yes, so that is the Russian Su-27. So you can see here this picture of this drone, guys. Now, these are unmanned vehicles, meaning that there is no pilot. It's all electronic. It is remotely controlled. Usually they use these drones for reconnaissance missions. They have cameras on them, so they can pretty much fly around the world and record footage. It can be used to spy and to gather intel of whatever its mission is. They can also be equipped with missiles, so they can also be used offensively. And of course, we're seeing a lot of drone usage in the war in Ukraine, especially by the Russians. We know that the Russians have been using Iranian drones, the kamikaze drones, right? These are actually drones that are designed with explosives, and exactly like they're named, they're kamikaze drones. So they actually crash into the objective. But this drone here, the MQ-9 Reaper, by the U.S., apparently was just on a reconnaissance mission. The U.S. hasn't stated on whether it was armed or not, but they are saying that it was on a reconnaissance mission. So before we get into the article here concerning this apparent collision here with Russian fighter jets, let's actually take a look at what it is estimated that the drone caused. So, it says here, the Reaper, which first began operating in 2007, replaced the Air Force's smaller Predator drones. Each Reaper cost about $32 million. So, that was $32 million there that went into the sea, because again, both sides agree, both the Russians and the Americans agree, that this drone did crash into the Black Sea, there. Again, the Americans are claiming that these two fighter jets, these two Su-27 Russian fighter jets, collided with the drone, and so they made it crash. They're not saying that they shot it down with missiles, but they're saying that first one of the Russian fighter jets flew near the drone, and somehow, I wasn't aware that they could do this, but apparently the Russian jet, according to the Americans, dropped fuel on the drone. So if you think about it, it almost sounds like, the Russian fighter jet was sort of taking a leak, right? It was pissing on this American drone. I'm not sure what they were trying to achieve. Maybe they thought that the fuel would make the drone catch on fire, or that it would make it malfunction. If that is true, if what the Americans are saying is true, but then after that, they also state that one of the fighter jets actually collided with the drone and then made it crash into the sea, into the Black Sea. But the Russians have a completely different story. They say that, they were worried about the drone because it was getting close to Crimea. So let's actually take a look at the map. Here is the front line of the war in Ukraine. Over here, guys, this is the Black Sea. This is where the drone was flying. I do believe that the Russians are saying that the drone might have flown in from Romania here. But they are claiming that the drone was somewhere around 60 kilometers southwest of Sevastopol. So as you can see here, here is Sevastopol. So if we go down towards the south and to the west, the drone would have been somewhere around here, but it was flying towards Sevastopol. So apparently, and according to the Russians, this worried them, so they sent out two of their Su-27 fighter jets to intercept the drone, and then, which is kind of a funny statement. The Russians say that the drone crashed all by itself into the sea due to the U.S.'s mismanagement. So they're pretty much saying that the U.S. couldn't control the drone and it just flew into the sea. Um, you believe what you want to believe here. I'm just reporting on what both sides said. But let's actually go ahead and take a read here from the Washington Post. Again, this is being reported pretty much by all the mainstream media news outlets. But just one thing here, guys. A lot of people are, trying to make a big deal out of this, like, oh, this is a provocation. The drone was supposedly flying on, international waters there. So it was legally there. And so this is, some people are trying to paint this like a provocation by the Russians. But apparently the Russians had already warned the U.S. not to fly anything near that area because they're in a war, literally, and the United States is involved in the conflict, guys. They're trying to make it seem like the U.S. has, they're innocent here, like, hey, why would you shoot our drone down? Like, we didn't do anything. There's literally U.S. personnel in Ukraine right now directing the war. The U.S. is contributing weapons to Ukraine, right? Missiles, artillery, they're sending tanks in. So it's pretty obvious that the U.S. is in a proxy war against Russia. That's pretty obvious. They're supporting Ukraine. Russia is not just fighting Ukraine, they're fighting the US and NATO. And Putin, Russia has made this pretty clear that they don't consider this conflict just against Ukraine, but also against NATO and against the US and England or Britain. And so it's not like, what happened here? Like, why would they attack this drone? No, there's literally a conflict taking place here which the U.S. is taking part in, right? And so they can't act like this is a strange act on the Russians' part. And also, even if it is international waters, what is a U.S. drone doing all the way over here, guys? The United States is over here. Why would their drone be all the way across the world? Again, just imagine if a Russian drone was flying near New York, right out here, guys, or near San Francisco, right out here, just 60 kilometers away, right? And that's actually what Russia said. So, again, there is a war going on here. In Ukraine, and the U.S. is flying a drone in the direction of Crimea here, or more specifically, Sevastopol there. So, in my opinion, these people that are trying to make a big deal out of this are, funny. The big deal is that the U.S. is literally in a proxy war against Russia, not that one drone got shot down. Yes, it was a waste of, what was it, $32 million. But the U.S. isn't going to do anything about this. They're not going to declare war on Russia because of a drone. Are you kidding me? They're suffering much worse losses in Ukraine, right? They might try to act like they're really angry and whatnot. But at this point, again, Russia's response was, oh, whatever, this drone actually flew into the sea because of American mismanagement. We didn't do anything, so... Russia doesn't care since they are aware that they are in a conflict against the U.S. in Ukraine. They're going to keep shooting down any drones that the U.S. sends into those waters without any fear of retaliation because, again, the U.S. has pretty much already been attacking Russia, right? Through Ukraine. They're providing the Ukrainians weapons, right? They're strengthening the Ukrainians. They don't have soldiers on the ground, but so the fact that one drone was shot down is they're exaggerating this, right? All these warmongers. So, anyways, let's go ahead and read here from the Washington Post. Again, guys, this is an American propaganda news source here, so take all the information here with a grain of salt. But anyways, it says a Russian fighter jet collided with a U.S. surveillance drone over the Black Sea on Tuesday, forcing it to crash into international waters, according to the U.S. military. Air Force personnel remotely operating the drone, called the MQ-9 Reaper, brought it down after Russian Su-27s dumped fuel on the aircraft and one collided with the Reaper's propeller, American officials say. Russia has denied responsibility, saying its aircraft did not come into contact with the American drone. The incident is believed to be the first direct U.S.-Russia clash since the war in Ukraine began last year. Here's what to know about the drone known as the Reaper. What is the MQ-9 Reaper? What does it cost? And what is its primary function? The Reaper is used by the U.S. Air Force to collect intelligence and conduct surveillance, search and rescue missions, and precision strikes on high-value and time-sensitive targets, according to an official fact sheet. The drones have conducted missions over Iraq, Afghanistan, and Syria, among other countries, and are operated remotely by a team of 2 out of 20 bases in 17 states. One commands the mission and controls the drone, while the other operates sensors and guides weapons. The aircraft can also hold up to 8 laser-guided missiles, 16 Hellfire missiles, and up to 1,300 pounds of fuel. So again, the U.S. is not saying whether or not this particular drone was carrying missiles. Now, I did read from another news source that Russia has claimed that they have grabbed a hold of the crashed drone. And, again, this is one of the supposed worries of the U.S. is that Russia's going to get a hold of this technology. Like Russia's in need of U.S. technology. They're actually they've actually surpassed the U.S. in other areas like hypersonic missiles. I'm not quite sure about the drones, but it's understandable for the U.S. not to want Russia to get a hold of this drone. But again, Russia has claimed that it did grab a hold of the crashed drone. So, it says here, this allows it to stay in the air for 1,150 miles and fly at up to 50,000 feet. In 2018, MQ-9 Reapers flew a total of 325,000 hours. The Air Force has contracted with General Atomics to build over 360 Reapers since the program began in 2007. A single Reaper drone costs roughly $30 million today, according to a Congressional Research Service report released last year. So you can see a picture here or a diagram of the drone here. You can see at the front it does have the cameras here and the place here where it can carry the missiles. Also near the back you can see where the propeller is. Now again, the U.S. is claiming that initially one of the Russian Su-27 fighter jets dropped fuel on the drone, and then one of them actually hit the propeller here, which caused the drone to go down. Again, Russia is saying that they didn't touch the drone at all, that it simply flew itself into the ocean. And actually, both the U.S. and Russia claim that they have footage backing their story up. So it'll be interesting to see which nation actually releases the footage. But yeah, you can see some of the statistics of the drone here: the range, the payload, the height that it can fly up to, how it's operated there. So it goes on here. The drone is 36 feet long and has a wingspan of 66 feet. So it's a pretty huge drone, guys. It's not like a small drone like you picture flying, around the neighborhood or something. This is like a massive drone, right? It's 36 feet long, has a wingspan of 66 feet, and a payload of 3,750 pounds. The MQ-9 is an updated version of the MQ-1 Predator, which was introduced in the 1990s. The Reaper has an engine that is about 8 times more powerful and is 13 feet longer with a wingspan that is 16 feet longer than its predecessor. The updated drone also has infrared sensors and cameras and a laser rangefinder to locate targets. In defense Department designation, the M stands for multi-role. The Q means it's a remotely piloted aircraft system, and the 9 shows that it is ninth in the series of remotely piloted aircraft. So, what was the drone doing when it was brought down? The aircraft was conducting routine operations in international airspace when it was hit by the Russian SU-27. General James B. Hecker, a senior military official overseeing Air Force operations in the region, said in a statement. In fact, this unsafe and unprofessional act by the Russians nearly caused both aircraft to crash. A news release from the U.S. European Command said the incident is the latest in a pattern of dangerous actions by Russian pilots while interacting with U.S. and allied aircraft over the Black Sea. This is not news, said Philip Breedlove, a retired Air Force general and former NATO Supreme Allied Commander. Russian and U.S. confrontations in the Black Sea have been happening for some time. It used to happen almost routinely, except now this is heightened even more because there is a war going on in Ukraine that the U.S. is pretty much taking part in. It says here, it was not immediately clear where over the Black Sea the incident occurred or what mission the drone was conducting. U.S. military officials also did not specify what other recent actions by Russian pilots fit into the pattern of dangerous activity that they described. So, I don't think we need to know what the drone was probably doing here in this area, guys. Again, they were probably carrying out a reconnaissance mission to see what the situation was around this area here, since again the U.S. is supporting Ukraine. They might be planning maneuvers, and trying to pretty much check out the area and see what's going on here. So, again, people are trying to exaggerate this, right? All the warmongers out there, but in my opinion, this isn't going to escalate the conflict, guys. The only thing that's escalating the conflict here is what is actually happening inside of Ukraine. But anyways, let me know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comments, guys. Thank you for tuning in. And again, remember, the truth is stranger than fiction. That's going to be it for this video. Have a wonderful day, and God bless.